Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television is sponsored by Nutrien. Nutrien, feeding the future.
Well, we're trying to. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Perspective. This is a public affairs presentation of Florida Gateway College. It's also a public affairs presentation of WCJX and WQHL Radio. We welcome the listeners on those two radio stations. Today's program is about the American Red Cross, especially the North Florida region, which Columbia County and Suwannee County are both a part of. We have the CEO for the North Florida region, Victoria Raleigh, and we have Gary Pelletier. He is the Disaster Program Manager for North Central Florida. We'll talk to them about what the Red Cross does, how you can be involved, how you can make a donation to the Red Cross. We'll do that when we come back. Don't go away.
$150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Welcome back to Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. My name is Mike McKee, and my guests are Victoria Raleigh and Gary Pelletier. They are representatives of the American Red Cross. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Everybody knows the American Red Cross. It's been around for many, many years. How did the American Red Cross get started?
You know, the American Red Cross, actually, we consider that we were born on the battlefield. It was just after the war, Clara Barton was noticing that there were soldiers that were injured and they were unable to be taken care of. And so she founded the American Red Cross and partnered with the International Red Cross Movement out of Switzerland. And that was over 135 years ago. We're very proud to still be serving our military members today, in addition to our other services.
Now, when you deal with the military members, what are you doing? Are you providing them with assistance where they need on the battlefield? I know we're still in many conflicts all over the globe.
Yeah, so no longer using the bayonets and the cannons that we were over 135 years ago, but our Red Cross services do stay the same. So we are the only organization in the nation that is congressionally chartered to provide military members and their families an emergency communication message. So that means that when a service member is deployed and there is an emergency back home, it's the Red Cross that actually gets that message to them downrange and make sure that they're able to get home all the way to their family. In addition to that, we provide resiliency services through trained mental health professionals and a wide array of what we call morale services. So everything from holiday mail and cookies throughout the holiday seasons to ongoing supportive services in our VA hospitals and clinics.
Now, I was reading something somewhere that the Red Cross, 90% of the people involved in the Red Cross are volunteers?
Yes, I'm so glad that you read that, actually. It's 97%.
Well, your marketing works. So.
Good, I'm glad to hear that. So it's actually 97% of our organization is volunteer-based. And so what that means is that for every one paid staff, such as Gary and myself, there are an average of 35 volunteers just making it happen each and every day.
Now, you mentioned cookies and things like that at the holidays. Is volunteering as easy as making cookies? I mean, I hate to be that simple about it, but is that as simple as it gets?
Well, volunteering is as simple as whatever your passion is and whatever your skill set is. So if you are an individual that likes to answer the phones, we have a place for you. If you want to respond to home fires in the middle of the night, we have a place for you. It's absolutely anything that you are able to bring, that you're passionate about and that you have a skill for, we want to put to use to benefit the mission of our organization.
But you also can donate money as well. That's always a help, that as much as you maybe not have the money, any kind of donation will be welcome.
Yes, anything from a penny to $1 million. We are fully funded by the generosity of the American public. So every little amount helps, and the large amounts are equally as welcomed. But we are fully reliant on public donations. We are not funded by the federal government. A lot of people think that we are, just given the nature of the services that we provide in a congressional charter, but we actually are 100% funded by the American public.
Now, you guys are a member of the United Way of the Swanee Valley. Talk about the importance of being associated with United Way.
Absolutely. We are very thankful to be what is considered a partner agency with the United Way here in Swanee Valley in Columbia. And in that, we are able to partner with other agencies and get a better understanding of the services that are provided locally, because we're one agency providing a myriad of services, but we're not providing every service. So when our volunteers respond to a home fire, we are providing that direct financial assistance and a place to stay, but then we're going to partner with other agencies who are going to be able to provide services such as furniture or perhaps additional counseling or school services. So we're very thankful to be able to partner along with the number of many great nonprofits that are working locally.
How important is that to have that kind of network? Because sometimes if you've lost your house in a fire, there's so many things that you don't have or that you do need that can be helped with a partner agency in the United Way.
Yes, absolutely. And Gary is here locally in the community, and he can attest to the different services and different partnerships that we have, but we really appreciate all of the different opportunities that we have to partner.
Well, not to leave Gary out of the conversation, but anyone who has disaster in his title that's got to be kind of cool. You're the disaster kind of guy. What is it? First of all, let's talk about what your role is when someone's house burns to the ground and they've got nothing. Mm-hmm. You're one of the first people that they see.
That's right. So my role as disaster program manager for the Lake City territory, I first see over the 5 counties in the area, but my role really is to support the volunteers. So the call will come into the Red Cross, and then I help facilitate the response, the volunteers that go out to the home fires and help our clients.
What's that like? I mean, you got to have special people to be able to deal with someone who's lost maybe a pet in the fire, maybe they've lost all their photographs, their treasures that they've collected over the years. Those are pretty special people that deal with those folks.
That's right, and all of our volunteers go through training, and they are, professional volunteers really. And to answer your question, it all depends on what type of incident we're responding to. It can be traumatic, but that's why we're there for the clients, and we also have the workforce of the American Red Cross to help our volunteers as well.
I go back to a time probably 15 years ago. You probably may have heard a little bit about this, but a family on Pine Mountain Road, a sinkhole started developing around their house, and the Red Cross was there because people were just watching the sinkhole slowly take this person's house. And so how important is it for the first responders to have a Red Cross? Because that trailer was there for a long time. That's a big part of what you do as well.
Mm-hmm. And those relationships are very important that we play with the fire department and the counties. So making sure that they know they can call us and contact us, and we can get out there and help those people who were victims of such an incident. So,
well, and I guess the most disasters we see are either tornadoes.
That's right.
Very bad weather that will take a tree down into somebody's house, or hurricanes.
That's right.
Last year we weren't so lucky, Gary. What was the hurricane season like last year for the American Red Cross? Not just here in Lake City and Columbia County and Swanee County, but for all of North Florida, because we got hit pretty hard.
We did. Victoria, do you want to help fill in? But we did have responders from all over the nation come down and assist.
Now, was that part of that was coordinating locally with the Red Cross through?
Correct.
Yes, yeah. So we're very appreciative to be a part of a national network. And so in that, we use a standardized training method for all of our volunteers. So it's tiered, and if you are a specialist in our system or a manager or a chief, then you have the same training anywhere that you go with the American Red Cross. So in an unprecedented large-scale disaster such as Hurricane Irma, we're very thankful to be able to specifically identify some needs that we have. And in a storm that large, when we have over 400 shelters open throughout the state and provided over 3 million meals and snacks, we need a lot of help. And so we're able to request individuals that are highly trained to come in throughout the country. They get here on the ground, and then they're able to train what we call event-based volunteers. And those are volunteers just like many of your listeners and viewers today who are thinking, hey, I might want to get involved. I'm not quite sure yet. But when they see a large response, such as a disaster, they show up. So we want to be able to train those individuals and put them to work right away. And that's why we have a cadre of volunteers come in from across the country to help support our ongoing relief efforts. Because as you know, disaster is a phased response. So we're helping to support shelters, we're providing mass feeding, we're distributing millions of supplies like rakes and shovels in a storm as large as Irma, not millions when it comes to a smaller event, but we continue to provide the same services no matter what the response is. And once those shelters transition and individuals are able to go back home, Red Cross continues with long-term recovery and casework and continued financial assistance and support and referrals.
Victoria Raleigh and Gary Pelletier are representatives of the American Red Cross, and we're talking about what the American Red Cross does for North Central Florida here on Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television and WCJX and WQHL Radio. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about more services provided by the Red Cross, as well as training that they do for CPR and other things here in North Florida. We'll do that when we come back. Don't go away.
Eva Marie smoked 12,000 packs of cigarettes over 15 years. She quit, and now there's a new lung cancer screening that could save her life. You stopped smoking. Now start screening. No matter how much you smoked, early detection could save you. Talk to your doctor or learn more at savedbythescan.org.
Welcome back to Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. My name is Mike McKee, and my guests represent the American Red Cross, the North Florida region, which Columbia and Suwannee County are a part of. Victoria Raleigh is the CEO of the North Florida region. Can you say, and this is kind of be a hard question for you, but did Irma, basically, is that the worst that could be as far as, well, what I'm saying is, because, I mean, you talk about millions of when you start talking millions, that's a lot. Right. And it probably set the tone, you know, if we could get through this, we can get through anything.
You know, the reason that Irma was so impactful, it was actually the largest non-wartime evacuation that happened in the United States, where all of the Floridians that evacuated.
Well, and I want to ask you about that because Lake City was in the evacuation route, so we had people that were evacuating South Florida that were getting as far as they could go, and a lot of them were running out of gasoline and were on the side of the road and were abandoned. So in addition to having people that were evacuating that needed shelter, you had people that were evacuated here and now they're in the path of this. So, I mean, how difficult was that because, I mean, you look at, this is just some of, you know, Irma was not a big rain event, but if you look at some of the photographs here after Irma, you know, we got a lot of water.
You did.
And it, you know, compared to other storms like, I forget maybe it was Donna or there was
Matthew.
Yeah, Debbie. This was nothing, but you still had all kinds of water that took place. But talk about that. You were in evacuated areas, and now you're having to deal with people who are stranded on the side of the road.
Sure. So we are very thankful for our partnership and the ability to support emergency management in each and every county. Our partnerships with emergency management, with the fire department, with police, and so we're able to coordinate through the Emergency Operations Center and really ensure that Red Cross is able to provide the services that we have in a manner that will facilitate the best possible experience for individuals that are impacted by the disaster. So as you mentioned, you have individuals that are evacuating from South Florida, from Central Florida, and they may have run out of gas, or it may have been that the eye of the storm was literally impacting. They were their cars are shaking as they're driving down the road, and so they are literally pulling off the road right here in Columbia County, in Suwannee County, and they're seeking that shelter. So when you asked if Irma was the largest or the worst that it could be, I would say no, knowing that it's not, but did it stretch our services? Absolutely. And I would offer that part of that was because we respond and support all disasters that are happening throughout the country as part of our Red Cross network. So we had our emergency response vehicles, and we had our trained volunteers and staff that went to support Hurricane Harvey, and then we recalled them to help.
The Harvey, for those who don't remember, was the one in Texas.
In Houston, yes, the mass flooding, the catastrophic flooding, the worst in 100 years. And so we had our teams go to support Hurricane Harvey. Then we pulled them back to come home and support here for Hurricane Irma. So we had all of our resources in use, and we had volunteers, and we have many volunteers that work and live right here in North Florida that supported Harvey, they supported Irma, and then they deployed to support Hurricane Maria, which you may remember impacted Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands.
And Puerto Rico, so Red Cross went to Puerto Rico as
yes,
well.
Yes, we did. In fact, American Red Cross supports Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So,
to be honest, it's still recovering down there. I understand. So
absolutely.
Just because the storm is gone, there are still people in Puerto Rico and other places that need help.
Yes, in fact, more so in Puerto Rico because it is an island and because resources were cut off. We were providing what we call first response phase, which is basic needs, so housing, shelter, water filtration, for over 160 days in Puerto Rico, which is a very long response period. For Hurricane Irma, we were in that phase of recovery for 6 to 8 weeks, depending on which part of the state you were in. So it is a team effort. We're thankful for a cadre of volunteers and a network that supports us, but we're also very thankful for the general American public that decide to show up, that donate, that give supplies, that give their time, because that's what makes our services possible. And it's a community effort, as you well know with your affiliation with United Way. It really is a team effort that makes a response and recovery happen.
And either one of you can answer this. There's no real off-season for disaster. I mean, when you think about fires in California or in the West Coast, or you have flooding because of heavy rains, or the fact that the ice is melting in Minnesota and causing flooding, or superstorms that hit the East Coast. So there's and then everyday fires. So you don't take time off, do you?
No, and and that's why we're so thankful for our volunteers, because part of our job is always to be prepared and to be ready to help the public and respond when needed.
So, I mean, it could be, I guess now, if you think about it, the rivers are starting to flood here, as it always does. It happens every year that the rivers. So are you looking at maybe helping or at least monitoring the situation down in the south part of our counties, where Suwannee and where the Three Rivers Estates are and things like that?
Yes, and a lot of that information will come in through our partners, like in emergency management. But if someone calls us and says their home got flooded, or because of the river rising and things like that, we will assist them appropriately.
Victoria, when you're talking volunteers, and there may be somebody out there that is watching either on YouTube or they're listening on the radio today, and they're saying, I'm retired. I could do something. It could be easy as answering the phone, or it could be difficult as what? What would be the most difficult volunteer job?
Well, I guess that depends on the person, but it could be as simple as answering the phone or helping within the office if that's what you like to do. We have opportunities to drive our emergency response vehicles. You can get trained in responding to home fires, in managing a shelter or a mega shelter, which is a shelter of more than 5,000 people. So really the opportunities are endless, but if you have a skill set in public speaking, if you really enjoy IT, if you like sitting behind a computer, whatever that, if you like taking pictures, we always need photographers to capture the work that we're doing. If you enjoy fleet, we have a fleet of vehicles that require regular maintenance. So really the volunteer opportunities are endless, and we encourage any and everybody that is interested just to give us a call or go on our website, and that's the first step, and then we can sit down and talk with you about all of the different opportunities that we have. Here in North Florida, throughout the entire region, we have just about 2,000 volunteers that work each and every day to support our services.
Okay, in addition to managing shelters during disasters, or maybe you're serving donuts to first responders that are working a fire, or you're helping someone that's lost their home, but in addition to that, you also do training for CPR and others. Talk about that training.
We do. We provide CPR training, first aid, AED, lifeguarding, babysitting, and we even do pet CPR for our four-legged friends.
Okay. So you got my curiosity piqued a little bit about pet CPR. What is that? Snout to mouth? I mean, I just...
You know, we would welcome you to come take a pet CPR
Trust me,
course.
this little thing here is from a puppy that I just got, so...
oh my goodness, okay.
No cooperation there, but...
Perfect timing if you have a puppy or a pet of any kind in your home to learn pet CPR. Pets can choke on things as well. So pet CPR it's a hands-on course, and you will learn how to, depending on the animal, how to resuscitate your loved animal, your beloved animal. So we do that type of training. We also do CPR, first aid, AED, and we do a couple different kinds. So we offer the full-blown training, which means you go online and you pay a fee and you are certified American Red Cross. But we also provide what we call citizen CPR, and that's free of charge. We're happy to come to your local business, to your school, your organization, and in about less than 30 minutes, we can teach you citizen CPR, which is compression only.
Okay, so the full-blown CPR is mouth-to-mouth, and
Yes.
and so that's a fee. There's a fee associated with that.
Yes, yeah.
Now, I know a lot of businesses, I know at least if you work in a hospital, you have to know it. So, but what other businesses, would this be just something to, have, if maybe at the college here, you have people that are trained in certain CPR. Who else would be interested in doing something like that?
I would say everyone. I will share, just a couple months ago, we had one of our volunteers, who's actually a board member, who was sitting in a car dealership getting his car serviced, and the waiting area of that facility, and an individual ran in and said, "Does anybody in the room know CPR?" And in a room of about 20, he was the only individual that did. So he said, well, I do. And so he got up and they took him to the back of the building, and one of their gardeners was actually having an asthma attack and needed CPR, and he saved that man's life. And he is a business owner, and he is just a regular person like you and I, but he's now a lifesaver, and that person is indebted to him. So from my perspective, from my seat, and I think Gary would agree, we encourage any and everybody to have CPR, but I think it is imperative for all local businesses to have at least one person trained in not only CPR, but to also have an AED on site and someone that knows how to use it.
When you say AED, we're talking about
the automated...
The paddles?
Yes, yeah,
okay.
The paddles, yes,
and
the shocks.
We've got them on campus,
Yep.
and you just can't go in there, open the box because someone's having an issue, and you have to be trained.
Well, yes, you should be trained. There are instructions, kind of basic instructions in each of the AED units, but it is important to get trained that someone really actually knows how to use them.
Yeah. Classes happen all the time here,
Yes.
Gary. I don't know whether.
Yeah, so hurricane season's coming, right? June 1st, and so we are starting to build up our course schedule locally here, especially in Columbia County, for anybody who may want to do shelter, volunteer in a shelter. But we're also working on building our disaster preparedness courses, which are offered to the public. And you
Now,
know,
what will you learn in a disaster preparedness course?
so it's about a 4-hour course, and we'll go through, you know, how to build a kit, when you should think about evacuating your home, what the difference is between a tornado watch versus warning, and we'll go over all of that. The American Red Cross has a lot of different applications that you can also get on your home, on your devices that can tell you, you know, there's a thunderstorm warning, flood, hurricane, all of that. So we'll go through all of those tools that you could get. But really, we just want to get people prepared. And sometimes, you know, people wait to the last minute to leave their home, and that's what's the most dangerous time. So making sure that you have a plan and know when to get out is what we'll teach and educate.
And I'm sure you deal with people with families that are, you know, kids need to know where to go if,
Right.
you know, because we all know with the way the Weather Service is that something's coming.
Right.
It's just not knowing when it's coming.
That's right.
But it's always good to be prepared well in advance, because as a storm gets closer, things tend to go off the shelves at the Home Depot and the Lowe's and the grocery stores. So it's always good. So you can contact the American Red Cross to find out a little bit more about that. We're going to take our last break on the program today. And when we come back, we'll get you all the information you need to know to contact the American Red Cross here in North Florida. And we'll also get you information on how you can make a donation, a contribution to the American Red Cross. We'll do that when we come back. You're watching Perspective on Florida Gateway College Television. You're listening to Perspective on WQHL, the Big 98, and WCJX, the X.
We just finished dinner and it was time for homework.
He hates homework.
It makes no sense.
I don't know how he finds anything in his backpack.
I can't find my backpack.
I couldn't even read his handwriting.
Holding the pencil makes my hand hurt.
I know he's bright.
Why is it so hard for me?
He's
I'm
just gotta
trying as
try a
hard
little
as
harder.
I can.
When you can see learning and attention issues from their side, you can be on their side. Go to understood.org, a free online resource with support and tools to help your child thrive.
Welcome back to the final segment of Perspective here on Florida Gateway College Television. My guests are Victoria Raleigh and Gary Pelletier. They represent the American Red Cross. Gary has got an announcement here. We've got an app now. Everybody's got an app.
Yes, on your smartphone, if you go into your app store, you could search the emergency app. It's a free Red Cross app. There's actually several different free Red Cross apps: first aid, hurricane, tornado, wildfire. But if you simply search for the emergency app, that will include all of the different natural hazards that we have, and you can set up not only where your loved ones live, so you can know if there's a potential hazard in their area, but it can also tell you what the weather radar is and put important information into that app. So, and they are free of charge.
Can we go to the American Red Cross website?
Yes.
Yes.
What's the website?
It's just www.redcross.org. And if you go to either the Apple Store or the Android, you can just search Red Cross and it'll pull up. We have 7 different mobile applications. They're all free of charge. Everything for military members and military families. We have a kids app and we have the emergency app that Gary just talked about. But if you just search for Red Cross, they'll all pop up.
Wow. And so if you'd like more information, is there a local number that folks can call to get more information, Gary? You got a local number here?
It's 386-752-0650.
You'll reach Gary and he can get you connected with your checkbook if you want to make a donation, or he'll get your information and at least get you some training opportunities to help in the event of a disaster. And let's hope that 2018 is not a bad hurricane. We could use a break, I think, if you live in North Florida. After last year, we certainly could use a break. But if you do want to help volunteer at a shelter, or if you want to at the command post, the emergency command post, they'll accept you there with a little bit of training. Again, thank you for sharing your story about American Red Cross. I know everybody knows about it. But not everybody knows a lot about it, and we hope we've given you some good information here on Perspective. Until next time, I'm Mike McKee. We'll see you.